Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah, and today we're going to be discussing Subway Girl by A.F. Presson.
The first few minutes we're going to do a brief review of the story without any spoilers, then we are going to shift into a deeper book discussion which is going to include lots of spoilers, but don't worry, as always, we're going to let you know before we do shift into that deeper book discussion.
That's right, so before we do that, Amy, go ahead and tell us what Subway Girl is all about.
This is a dual timeline romantic suspense about a girl on a subway who has a panic attack every time the subway train pulls into the 23rd Street station. In the present timeline, she struggles to remember who she is and what's led her to be there, while the past timeline weaves a beautiful but conflicting portrayal of the relationships and people in her life that led up to her subway encounter. Sarah, what did you think about Subway Girl?
Whew, okay, talk about a story that kept me guessing from beginning to end. At 85%, I was like, yes, I have it. And then there was still just a little tidbit at the end that I was like, I don't have it. So I love a story that an author can really keep me guessing. I kind of figure things out pretty early on. And it's very refreshing to find these authors who can actually keep you wondering like what's taking place throughout the whole story. I felt like this story was one of those for me. I wasn't picking up the clues that were being laid out for me. and I really enjoyed that. So this was a really good story. It kept me on my toes, and I'm ready to discuss it. What do you think?
I wasn't sure, like you, where this story was going to go, and was through the whole thing, I'm like, I'm not really sure what's happening here, but boy, did I enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And I did feel like the love story is a more prominent role than the romantic suspense portion of this, but I felt like it was very heartfelt. Mm-hmm. It was surprising at times, and overall, I just really enjoyed this story. All right, let's get into our ratings.
All right,
Angst.
This was a 3 for me.
That high?
Yeah, you didn't think it was that high? Okay.
I did 1.75, but
wow.
Tell me more.
Okay, I felt it was angsty because I couldn't figure out certain characters and their motives and stuff.
Okay.
So that was angsty for me. I also couldn't figure out what was happening with the subway. Mm-hmm. There was a lot. I was looking left, and she was going right, and and then I was, looking right, and she was going left. So I wasn't sure, and it kind of bumped up the angst for me, especially some of the little, there's little things that are dropped throughout that you can't really, do you really know someone? So
I picked up on the little clues a little bit earlier than I expected. However, I did reserve the angst for this story was reserved for the last 20% of this book.
The last 20%. Yeah, it takes off. You get some answers, and it was
a good ride.
Yeah.
All right, humor.
Okay, humor. This was just a 0.75 for me. Okay. There is a character in there that every now and then they make me laugh, but for overall, this was more of a like
drama.
Yeah, drama.
I did 0.25, so I was low as well. I think I laughed once. It was not a lot.
No,
really throughout.
It's not.
All right, spiciness.
This was just a 1.75 for me. It has a little bit, but it's not overly descriptive. I didn't feel like there's more tension and a little bit of tease.
Yeah, tease is the perfect word for it. I did 1 out of 5. The scenes are off the page. They're non-descriptive. Yeah. The tease is it's perfect the tease. Descriptor.
It's definitely more the words being spoken.
Yeah, for sure.
Than anything like, you know what I'm saying.
All right, tears.
Okay, tears. This was a 2 for me.
I was higher.
Were you really?
Yes.
Okay. I have to say I did cry. Mm-hmm. Not like, but towards the end, there's something that happens, and I was very emotional. So
yeah, I did 3.5. I know it's high. There are some highly emotional scenes towards the end of this book.
Yes.
That really caught me off guard.
Did you cry?
I did not expect to cry in a romantic suspense.
Did you cry?
But girl, did I cry?
She cried.
I cried. I cried. And I didn't just sprinkle some tears, folks. I cried.
Okay.
And it was in that part, like, on the back and forth, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's happening here. And so, for that reason, I bumped it up.
I remember why I didn't cry. I was in a public setting.
Oh.
And I was fighting to not cry.
So you teared up, but they didn't spill over on
Yeah,
you.
well, yes. I remember, like, biting my lip. I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, because I started to text you, don't read this in a public setting. And that's why I didn't. So maybe in my heart, it was sobbing
I was in the privacy of my own home, so I did cry. I know.
I'm so proud.
All right, overall.
Okay, overall, this was a 4.25 for me. It was a really good romantic suspense. Again, more on the romance side than the suspense side, but there is some mystery and there's things that surprise you.
I did 4.5, mostly because of the last little bit. It wasn't so much the suspense story, because I had most of that figured out towards the end. However, it was the overwhelming feeling that I had when I read the end, and the feeling I had in the hours following that. Well, let's be clear. It was 12:30 a.m. when I finished this book. So the next day, I was still thinking about this book and how it made me feel, and that's why I bumped it up.
This was the perfect book to kick off our October reads.
I think so too.
I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was perfect for the fall October vibes.
All right, that concludes a spoiler-free quick review of this story. Now we're going to shift into our deeper book discussion, which is going to include lots of spoilers. If you haven't read this story, stop, go check it out, and then come back. You can continue the deeper discussion simply by clicking the link below or going to any available podcast platform and searching Post-Book Depression. Then we would love to hear your thoughts on this story. You can find us on social media on Instagram at Post-Book Depression Podcast, on Facebook in our Post-Book Depression discussion group, and you can also email us at postbookdepressionpodcast@gmail.com.